This tutorial looks at channel choice, and in-depthly it looks at which channels, digital channels, should we choose for our concept or our plan. This is very important because if we choose the wrong channels, we're not realistically going to achieve our aims the way we need to. So, we've got to look at which channels are available to us and which ones are most appropriate. So, over the last number of tutorials, we've looked at the idea and the analysis. Now we're moving into the area of strategy. And within strategy, there's three things that we're going to look at. Little quote here: successful business strategy is about actively shaping the game you play, not just playing the game you find. So really what this is saying is you actually have an opportunity here to choose your tools, choose your battleground, choose your marketplace, and choose the different ways through which you can reach your customers and engage with them and hopefully convert them. So this is a very important phase of the project, and it's something that we really have to think about here. So the first stage in strategy is looking at our channels, deciding on which channels are best suited to our needs. The second stage is defining our channel. Now this does not mean looking for a textbook definition of what our channel is. This means what does our channel mean to us? In other words, what are we going to do with our channel? How are we going to lay it out? In some certain cases, our channels, can actually be storyboarded or drawn out in that detail. So things like apps, things like websites, we should absolutely storyboard them. We can lay out flow charts for the whole layout of the whole thing. In other channels, we might need to discuss, what needs to be done with them and what we can do and the plan that we take in order to achieve that. Which brings us on to the third stage of strategy, which looks at commitment. And really what this is once you have actually launched your project, I want you to put together what's known as a commitment calendar, which is a 6-week plan into the future after your launch about what you're actually going to do in order to achieve your aims. Okay, so we'll talk about each of these over the next 3 tutorials or so. Okay, so the first one we're going to deal with in this one here is looking at channels and channel choice. Which channels are the most appropriate for us and which should we use? Going back a few years, this is taken directly from somebody's assignment, and I'm not going to read it all, but I'm just going to jump into parts of this. 5 years ago, it was viewed as an added bonus to engage with social media. Now it's an absolute essential necessity in order to reach our audience the way that they need to be engaged with and reached, and to start a conversation with them on their platform. So in other words, we need to make decisions as to which channels we're going to choose and which best suits our business objectives. Okay, so that's what this particular tutorial is about: which channels to choose and why you choose them. Okay, what we have here is the marketing tree. Now, this is very interesting in that you'll notice down here in the bottom, all the research, strategy, branding, and content is done. So this is really what we're actually at right now. We're in the middle of planning, analyzing, and strategizing. And then from there on, we develop different channels. And you'll notice that Right along the main trunk of the tree here is the website. So what it's actually saying is that at present, for the vast majority of businesses, the website is still the core channel through which we engage our customers. There are lots of other channels out there, everywhere from social media right through to email marketing, directory, search engine optimization, search engine marketing, pay per click, blogs, etc. All of them out here. So this is actually a very useful little diagram to remember, because the only channel that I require you to do going forward is a website. So every single project that we'll be looking at will have a website, but it will have an array of other channels. And which channels you choose will be dependent on a number of different factors. And that's what we're going to look at in this particular tutorial, is which factors, will influence our channel choice, and therefore which channel should we choose. So with that in mind, what I want you to do, if you haven't already done this, if you haven't already gone through which channel you're going to use, what I want you to just focus on for a couple of minutes, just pause the video and jot down a few things. But what is it dependent on? So which channels you choose, they're dependent on what? So when you think about what we've done so far, which of the actual categories that we've looked at will influence your choice of channels? Okay, so with that in mind, just pause it, think about that for a few minutes, then come back and we'll move on. Okay, if you've done this, if you've sat down to think about the different things that will influence which channels you choose, well, the number one factor to influence your channel choice are your aims. So we've already set out our aims for our project. They will have a huge influence on what we want to do and what we want to try to achieve. And we all know that different channels are focused on different parts of these aims. So, if you're interested in sales, you might choose a certain channel. If you're interested in engagement, you might choose another channel. If you're interested in just brand awareness, you might choose a different one. So what we're going to have a quick look at here is, we actually already have looked at some of these slides, but only part of them. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at these slides here. And we've seen this before, and we've seen that, that the digital marketing mix, brand awareness, customer acquisition, customer retention, new product launch, sales, etc. Certain channels such as pay-per-click are very good at some of these, such as brand awareness and acquisition. Not so good at retention. SEO is good at brand awareness and customer acquisition, not so good at retention. Social media, again, very, very good at brand awareness, low at customer acquisition. When you think about it, when you go onto a lot of social media channels, we're not going on there to buy in a lot of cases. We're on there to kind of, find out about different things and to engage ourselves and make ourselves aware of certain things. So quite often we will use a different channel when we're actually going to purchase. Online PR, again, high, low and low. And linking, all right. Now, while linking is low across the board, we have seen and we will continue to see that linking is a huge part in SEO. So obviously we just can't ignore this. A lot of these go hand in hand with one another. And then displays and banners, very good for, good at brand awareness and low at other things. Okay. Again, here's another, this is a bit like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, really, when you think about it here. There's certain channels which are useful for achieving certain parts of this. So, security and safety, you've got LinkedIn, get yourself a job, okay? Belonging to a group of friends, you've got Google Plus, Facebook, etc., and Instagram. Self-esteem, you might have Twitter, and on you go up along the line to blogs and so on for different self-realization at the top, okay? And here we have another method of looking at, these are just different methods of measuring which channels are best suited to different needs. This is just using a traffic light system, which is good, okay, and bad. And you can see Facebook is bad for SEO, but good for customer communication and brand exposure. Twitter is okay for traffic to your site and SEO, but it's very good for brand exposure and communication and so on, and Flickr and so on. So you can see different channels. As well as this one here, while there's an awful lot on the screen, you can see brand building over this side, and you can see making sales on the right hand side, and you can see certain channels are actually very, very good for making sales. So paid ads, very good for making sales. Okay, then you've got the whole idea of daily deals, excellent for making sales. Okay, text message ads, so regular kind of advertisement across digital channels, very, very good for making sales. And then for brand building and so on, link building, you've got different things down along here. So what we're saying is that different channels are better at achieving certain aims. So it's important for us to figure out which channels will achieve the aims that we've set out. So you've got to match your aims, or sorry, your channels to your aims. Okay, and it's very, very important, and it's very simple to see in certain cases that that this is occurring or it's not occurring. So it's something that must be focused on. So your aims are very, very important. The second factor when we're looking at choosing the right channel is your audience. Now this is very obvious. Okay, if we're looking to reach maybe retirees and so on, we probably won't use a channel such as Snapchat. Okay, or probably not even Instagram. So we've got to try and figure out which channels they're using and where we're likely to engage with them. All right, when and how and so on as well. So there's lots of information and stats out there on gender and age and ethnicity and education and how it affects different channels and which channels people are using. Okay, and just remember that sometimes our ideas of what people are using may not be realistic. All right, we're all probably thinking, oh, only a certain age group use a certain channel. There's stats out there. Most channels produce all this kind of information. Use that. Okay, so it's very important that we actually put a bit of research into this to figure out exactly where our audience are, what they're using, and therefore engage with them on the channel that they're actually already on. Quite a few, campaigns have failed on the whole idea of, oh, we're such a big brand that if we're using a certain channel, people will use this with us. Quite often, some people may, but quite often this is a false belief. So be very careful to think about what they're using and how they're using it. Okay. So as well as that, a lot of channels already have stats on where and how and how often people are engaging with them in different ways. So there's loads of information out there on that. So your audience is absolutely and utterly important, essential to look at when you're thinking about which channel you should be choosing. And the third one here is return on investment, or the cost of the channel. For starters, a lot of people think, oh, sure, social media is free. Well, we may not have to pay for social media, but quite often we put time and effort into creating it, managing it, and maintaining it. And that costs money and time. So really, there's nothing like that that's actually a free channel as such. We're going to have to put time and effort into maintenance of these channels. Okay, so it's very important that we put it into the right channel in the right way. Now, on top of that, the idea of pay per click and the idea of paid advertisement as well, they're all obviously they have an upfront cost as well. And then there's other channels as well that we actually have to, maybe in some cases we'll even need to employ people to do them for us, or with what we're trying to do. So return on investment is very important, and figuring out, quite often people say, oh, well, I'm not getting a return on investment with, we'd say, Twitter, because no one's buying through my channel. But we must remember that quite often these people might be engaged through that channel, or they might become aware of our product through that channel. That's all part of the sales process. And so we must keep that in mind as well. So cost and return on investment, while they're slightly different, they are connected to one another. So the staff costs, there's advertisement costs, there's external fees and all the rest of these things. So, while we may not be paying for the actual channel itself, we quite often are engaging and, and that there is a cost there as well, and therefore the maintenance. And somebody will, I'm very strong about this. Quite often, if nobody's given ownership of a certain channel, well, then nobody owns it, nobody maintains it, and quite often the channel falls by the wayside. So it's got to, somebody's got to be dedicated to it, and somebody's got to be devoted to it, and somebody's got to understand that that's part of their job to do this. So these are going back to slides that we looked at before where I looked at lead generation. You can see in this case here, lead generation, there's certain parts, high priority, medium priority, low priority. So pay-per-click, very good. SEO, very good. Content marketing and social media, medium priority, and email, very good. So lead generation, in other words, generating awareness of a product and trying to actually start people on the buying process, very, very good. Then you're talking about credibility and brand awareness, and you can see certain channels are different. You can see the difference here between these three here. Pay-per-click, not very good for communication, good for credibility and brand awareness, but excellent for lead generation. So you can see different channels are different at different for different aims and so on. Okay, just another look at it here. This is another one that we showed earlier on in one of the tutorials, but you can see high, medium, and low, and you can see thought leadership. Blogs are very good. File sharing and podcasts are very good. Wikis, online videos, group forums, and microblogs, medium level, and then low for certain ones. So you can see, that certain, as I said, certain goals are achieved through certain channels. You can see the same thing here again, a slide that we've seen before, a part of it we've seen before, and I'm filling in the gaps here. What's good for different things and so on. So quite often here, if we're talking about conversion, you're talking about certain channels are better than other channels. So keep that in mind. Conversion is actually getting to do what you want to do. And the final part of this, we'll look at Ground Control's example and what they've actually chosen. So this will look at not only the actual channel that they've chosen, but why they've chosen this particular channel. That's really important. So when you're looking at channel choice, it's, yes, I've chosen this channel, and the rationale for choosing it falls down to, and it quite often falls down to aims, audience, cost, and return on investment. Okay, so keep those in mind, because these are kind of prompting you for the flags that will help you answer the questions that we're looking at. Okay, so when you look at Ground Control, they're actually looking at these channels here, and these are the channels that they've actually chosen. Okay, they've chosen these ones here, and they've actually put it together in a very simple and very nice little diagram. So you can see the linkages between all the channels, and you can see that very strongly their website is in the middle of all of these. They've also chosen Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, direct emails, and TripAdvisor. Now there are quite a few channels, and there's no, I don't want anyone feeling under pressure saying, oh God, we have to have 6 channels or 7 channels. It's up to you to decide which are the best channels for choosing. As I said, we absolutely require you to do a website, which we'll be using a very simple, plug and play website called Wix. But on top of that, we want you to choose the best channels that supplement the other aims and to help out your website as well and drive traffic to your website. So it's not only about choosing the channels, it's all about thinking about the integration of these channels as well, and how they complement one another to try and achieve your overall aim. So these are the channels that they've chosen. So what I'm going to just quickly do, I'm not going to read this out, but in every case they said, well, why they've chosen their channel. So the website and why they've chosen that. Then next one up is the Facebook and why they've chosen and what they're going to do with Facebook. All right. Then the same thing with LinkedIn, why they've chosen that, and direct emails, Instagram, and then finally TripAdvisor. So they've talked about this. Like in certain cases here, they've even used, they've even used references as to why it's so important. They've talked about not only the number of people and the traffic going to it, the audience that they've actually reached, and the audience that you're looking for probably match one another, how it achieves or will go about achieving your particular aims. Very important. Okay, so in this particular stage, you've talked about the channels that you're going to choose and why you're going to choose them. So in total, they've chosen, as you say, quite a few of the different channels available. But it's up to yourself and your group to decide on which channels best suit your needs.